It is Bronze and Modern Gods. A little late. I'm John. That's Richard. Hey,
Hi, everybody. Hi, John.
Well, you know, we have lives, people. What do you want from us? Sorry, but we're still here. It's still Friday evening. And if you're not following us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods, you probably should. And if you like this video, you know, when it's over, you like it, you don't have to decide right now, but we would appreciate a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you had hit the notification bell earlier, you would know this video was going live tonight. We have a bonus episode. You know what that means. Your questions, your comments, our responses. We also have the Instagram Market Watch with Ali from Elite_Comics11. 3 huge sales this week. And just a reminder, Richard, I think you're wearing something very fashionable.
Yes, I am. I am wearing
A
Bronze and Modern Gods t-shirt.
If you would like one, make sure you go to the description below and get the link there, or go to bronzeandmoderngods.com and hit the T Public badge. I have to readjust my back. I'm like 125 years old.
I feel you.
But first, before we get going, we have breaking news. Richard, Amazing Fantasy number 15 has sold for $3.6 million.
I think you're bearing the lead there, John. It was a 9.6 of Amazing Fantasy, which by itself is you know, that's a unicorn.
It's insane. Now, just to put this in perspective, the previous record holder was an 8.5 of Action Comics number 1 that sold for $3.25 million earlier this year. Now, this was all done through Heritage Auctions. I will not say anything bad about Heritage Auctions, who are currently getting questioned a lot about their video game sales. And I'll let you guys go at it in the comments. How's that?
Do you know if the buyer premium is included in this 3.6 million?
That's everything. That's 3.6 million is the recorded sale. So I'm assuming that's all in there. And you know, an Amazing Fantasy 15, 9.6. There's more than one. Did you know that?
Wow. Can you imagine a book, 9.6 of that book in your collection? Kudos and congratulations to the buyer.
Did it survive as a 9.6, or has it been bumped up to a 9.6 through many means? I'm sure it has. It has to have been.
You know, when you get to books this valuable, there are a lot of incentives for CGC or CBCS, whoever's grading it, to have it the highest grade possible, because it becomes a showcase for your, you know, for your company. So you can say, you know, this particular book was graded by my company, and it has a value of $3.6 million. It's an instant marketing tool. So you never know. Did it get a little bit of a nudge over the line because of that?
I look at things like the Promise collection with a lot of 9.8s and a lot of 9.6s. And I know there's the apocryphal Golden Age grading curve. When I look at some of the Promise books, I'm like, yeah, it's for real, because some of those are not 9.6s and some of them are definitely not 9.8s. If you look, you guys, buy the book, not the label.
Right. If these had been Ultimate Fallout 4s, for example, they would never have gotten the grades that they've gotten, you know, being Golden Age books.
But wow, we'll talk a little bit more about this sale when we have Ali on later. But let's go on to viewer mail.
You've got mail.
And the first piece of viewer mail I have is from Dope Comics. Yo, that's dope. Yeah, I'm showing my age and my
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Double, yes, double whammy. The Silver Age Dell Universal Monster comics are way undervalued. The Creature from the Black Lagoon copy has an awesome cover, agreed. And the Dracula movie issue comic is very rare. There's also Frankenstein and a cool mummy comic. Yes, those Dell Universal Monster comics are really cool. And I do think there is an audience for them for sure. Just don't get confused with the later Dell Monster comics like Dracula and Werewolf, where they're superheroes and they're really awful. Make sure you go with the Universal Dell Monsters and not the the Dell superhero monster books.
And if you're a person of a certain age, you remember Saturday mornings watching, TV, and after your cartoons are over, typically you had a monster movie, or Saturday night you had a monster movie, and Frankenstein and Dracula and Wolfman and the Mummy were a part of that mythos, either the original or one of the 400 versions of Frankenstein movies that came out before poor Boris Karloff passed away. Yeah, so I think there definitely is an audience for this if you talk about nostalgia alone. But I think the collectability of these is going to be something that's timeless.
Good old shock theater,
Yeah.
or if you're from certain parts of the Midwest, Big Chuck and Little John, or the Ghoul, or
Goulardi,
Son of Svengoolie,
Elvira,
Vampira, if you are ancient. What's your first piece of viewer mail?
My first piece of mail is from Patrick Montero, and this is in regards to I wasn't aware. Mad Magazine is still around. Although the magazine is not available on newsstands anymore, they can still be found in comic shops or via subscription. The bulk of the content in new issues are reprints from earlier issues, but there is some new content included. Plus, DC Comics will continue to produce Mad Magazine specials with original content. This warms my heart, because Mad Magazine was one of those magazines that I remember reading alongside comics back in the day. The thing, though, is he mentions a lot of reprints. A lot of the content from those magazines were very, very topical to the times they were written to. So I really, is it really as funny, those jokes about Richard Nixon today, as they were in 1972? Interesting. I'm curious to see what these are. So I'm going to track one down and read it, just to see if I can capture a little bit of that nostalgia.
I have a feeling that Dean Martin parody will resonate just as much today. I was going to say, you said it warms your heart. I was going to ask you, does it warm your heart enough to buy an issue?
I'll buy one. Think about this. The back cover of this magazine was designed to be folded.
All jappy folded.
Yeah. So can you imagine how rare a 9.8 of this book must be? Because the first, inclination of any kid was to sit there and see the folded piece of work. So I'll buy one. I'm definitely curious, after 40 years, what in the world does this thing look like nowadays?
There are a couple of immortal covers that I would not mind having in my collection. And one of them, my favorite one, which to this day I cannot believe either how sensitive we've gotten as a society, or how bold they were to get away with it, was in the mid 70s. They had a cover where it was just a close up of someone's hand, and they said they were the #1 magazine.
Yes, a lot of things around that title are definitely, you have to be sensitive to the time they were made. And if you can accept that, the circumstances may have been different for that time. And this also applies to Golden Age books. Some of the racism that is rampant in Golden Age books would never fly today, but it's a part of the culture and the time, and you have to accept that, and to be able to appreciate those books, appropriately. So yeah.
It not even the racial depictions or things like that. Not even that. It surprises me. Just the outright, like the National Lampoon cover, the immortal one of buy this magazine or we'll shoot this dog. And the poor dog's eyes are like.
Oh boy, I really wonder if sales spiked that particular.
Everybody knows that cover.
Yeah.
All right, my next piece is from Nick Parrish. Once again, hi Nick. Hearing about this third show you guys are planning is great news, and I would definitely pay and support the new show. Thank you. I'm interested to hear what suggestions you guys have for books on the new show, since I'm now looking for all 4 Nightside books after John recommended it almost 2 weeks ago. Thanks, Nick. I didn't pick this out to encourage you all. I picked this out to give you guys an update. Apple Podcast is a mess. We want to host it there. There's a lot of stuff you have to go through. You have to go through approval process, fill out some tax forms. And for some reason, and I filled it out correctly, Richard. You know, I'm a computer guy like you. I know what I'm doing. I'm not dumb.
Right. And OCD too, by the way.
Thank you. For some reason, after I filled out every portion of the form, it has my legal name at the top and it has my podcast name, Bronze and Modern Gods, under my legal name field in the tax submission form. And of course, it's grayed out and it will not allow me to edit it. So I have emailed Apple support 3 times in the last week. So be patient, guys. That's just a general update. We're working on it. As soon as we can get it set up, we will make it happen. What is your next piece?
My next piece is from Mike Will. And this is in regards to my pick for underrated book last week.
Yep.
Yao saw that Teen Titans number 75 for $1,600 at a New York Comic Con this summer. And this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teen Titans number 75. This is a gorgeous cover by Adam Hughes of Coriander flying on the cover. It is, in my opinion, one of his best works, and it's one of those rare variant covers that people who are collecting Adam Hughes should look for. It has had a value to it for quite some time, typically around $800 to $900 is where I would probably put it right now. There are people on eBay and people at cons that are looking to sell it for twice that, as we can see here in this example. If I wouldn't pay $1,600 for this book. I think $800, $900, maybe $1,000 would be the cap that I would pay for it, because it is a very niche book. It really appeals to those Adam Hughes fans. So unless you just have to have it in your collection and you don't ever plan on getting rid of it, stay away from these $1,600 price point books. I really think people are trying to take advantage of the scarcity of this book by inflating the value and hoping to snare some people at that level.
Plus, it's a con. No pun intended. Books are always marked up a bit to pay for that booth space and things like that. So just keep your eyes open. I think I do agree. I think as scarce as it is, there aren't a lot of recorded sales to justify a $1,600 price. Plus, you didn't mention if it was a 9.8 or if it was a raw copy or what was going on. So I'm curious about that as well.
Yeah, and bargain, because you never know. Especially at cons, they tend to be flexible about the price for people who are cash buyers, especially.
And my last piece of viewer mail is from our friend Prince of Cheese, who writes on Instagram, a question I bet Richard will be able to go on about it. What do you do when you find a super rare variant, but it's red to death or it's corner crunches? Hypothetically, if you came across a gold Venom Lethal Protector, the white second print of Spider-Man 2099, and a G.I. Joe 21, but they were all 8.5s, would you even bother? Or would you try to get them cheap and hold them for a decade? Are these things just going to keep running up like Silver Age does? Good question. 8.5 ain't too shabby. I think it comes down to, what is the asking price? Is it someone asking something ridiculous? Are they asking a 9.8 price for an 8.5 book? Did you find it in a dollar bin? Did you find it, for $4.99 or something? I think if it was priced right, I would get it. Some corner crunches can be pressed out. Some can't. If it's got color loss or color breaking, then let it be. But I would be happy with a G.I. Joe 21 in an 8.5 and try to sell that if the price was right. So, cheese, I think it really just matters what the price is. Richard?
I totally agree. I think we live in a world that is overly weighted towards 9.8s. Our friend from City Comics, for example, he collects 9.0s because he figures that is a good quality book, and yet you avoid the 9.8 tax that people pay for those high-end books. So definitely, I would pick up any book, any of the super rare books all day long, because they, especially if you're buying them at a really reasonable price, you're buying from Dollar Bin or you're buying $20 for, let's say, a ghost spider from from that run. It definitely is worth picking up because you never know. In 9.8s could be like Miles Morales, and that 9.8 could be $400 today, and then in 6 months it could be $3,000. And in that case, that 8.5 could may only be a $7,500 book today, but tomorrow it could be a $600 book. So definitely pick them up, put them in your long box, and just hold off. You never know where you're going to strike gold.
Yeah, and if you get a good deal on it and you're looking to flip it, there are people that can't afford a 9.8 of G.I. Joe 21, and an 8.5 priced right would be really appealing to them. So yeah, look for a deal.
Yeah, and
Right.
realize not all damage is on the front cover too that pulls the grade down. And if it presents really well, that could be that's a great piece for someone's collection to show off that ownership.
Exactly. All right. What's your last piece of viewer mail?
My last piece is from Nas Feast. Richard wearing his Spider-Man shirt. I have an amazing Spider-Man 100 shirt, which I love. It's one of my favorite covers. It's just a very, very amazing. Some great comics. I have noticed a lot of Silver Age books are low in price. Also noticed the Secret Wars #8 is nowhere near where it should be in value for some reason. Silver Age are taking off right now. Now, if you have an opportunity to buy Silver Age keys, I would recommend Silver Age keys over modern keys, especially in this current market. So if buy that, those Spider-Man under 100s, for example, or X-Men low, the Claremont X-Men, or actually those aren't Silver Age, are they?
Nope.
But look for those older books, because right now I think some of them are undervalued. For example, one of my favorite books is Fantastic Four #1, the Golden Record reprint. For a long time, that book was just super cheap, and you could buy copies for a couple $100. Now 9.6s are going for $4,000. And 9.8s are going for over 9. So, picking up those Silver Age while they're cheap is a good move, because it's almost guaranteed that you'll see some kind of increase. And the Secret Wars #8, yeah, that book has always been undervalued. It's always played second fiddle. I don't foresee any huge increase in the value of that book, just because it's got a track record of a sustained price through movie after movie. But if you come across one, I would definitely pick it up, especially the full set of Secret Wars. I think it's a good collection to have right now.
Also, Secret Wars 8 is not a scarce book by any stretch. It was a huge miniseries that was topping the comic sales charts month after month after month, and people were buying multiples and keeping them pristine and bagged and boarded in their collection. So it's just not a tough book. I'm going to say, Richard, you ignorant slut, on this one, and say, I think Secret Wars 8 is right where it needs to be, frankly.
No, I don't see it necessarily, growing wings and doubling in price, but I think it's a consistently priced book.
Yeah.
If a 9.8 goes for $400 now, it will always be $400, if not, $420, $450, someplace over there. That's an arbitrary number I picked. I don't really know what the cover price is.
I completely find myself shocked at things, though. Like Wolverine #1 at 9.8, the miniseries is now $1,000 book or close to it. And that's another one that is pretty plentiful in high grade. It's not, it was a hugely speculated book back in the day.
Yeah, it's supply and demand. You look at ASM 300, there's 24,000 copies on the census, and yet it's one of the hottest books on the market.
Crazy.
It is a crazy market in more than one way.
That is a perfect segue to lead us right into our Instagram Market Watch with Ali from Elite_Comics11. Let's dance. And here he is now. It is the man himself from Elite_Comics11, Ali. Ali, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Ali.
We have another guest sitting in with us this week. I don't know if you see, there's little Tinkerballs.
Hey there.
Tinkerbell.
Richard, why is his name Tinkerball?
Well, it's his name. name started off as Tinker Bell because we thought it was a girl, but then we flipped him over and found out it was a boy, so I changed it to Tinker Ball.
Pardon me, Tinkerball.
We're fostering kittens from the APL. If you have a local APL, please check out fostering. You get to play with cute kittens for 6 weeks. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
All right. Well, speaking of giving things new homes, 3 huge keys this week found new homes. I'm going to guess that they're very high-end, expensive new homes based on the sales that we saw.
Quality homes. Yep.
What is the first one you have this week?
All right. So,
I'm sorry. Tell us a little bit about Elite_Comics11. How could I forget the best part?
As we usually do, so we're at Elite_Comics11. We're Instagram's premier consignment page. We're always posting and selling high-end comics, so check us out. But I'm here, as usual, to share a few of the bigger kind of highlight sales from the page the past week or so, and this week is special, so you're going to immediately realize that. So right off the bat, Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1. This is the first Sinister Six. It's a CGC. It was a CGC 8.5 with white pages. It sold for $14,995 via the page.
Those early square-bound Silver Age Marvel annuals are so tough in grade because the glue was funky, the covers get wrinkled around the staples, and the corners split when the glue dries over years. And to find one in an 8.5 with white pages and that one, just such a classic Steve Ditko and Stan Lee tale is just phenomenal. GPA. Last sale for that was in August this August. Okay. It was for $13,000. Doesn't surprise me that a white pager has a premium like that. And I'm giddy with the condition of this book, and the kitten threw me off. Because I love it.
And we got that trailer, so the Spider-Man world appears to be just opening up, and we can skip steps potentially and see all these characters sooner rather than later. I think people are really excited about that.
Well, speaking of the Spider-Man world opening up, it doesn't get any keyer than the next key.
Yeah, what an incredible book. So I'm biased. My favorite book, Amazing Fantasy #15, the first appearance of Spider-Man. CGC 5.0 with white pages, sold on our page for $72,500.
Wow. And
as we're recording this, Heritage, just had a huge sale on an AF-15, a 9.6, 3.6 million. So, the Spider-Man, I mean, used to be king of the Silver Age. Why don't we just cross out Silver Age and say king of comics?
It is the most expensive comic book ever sold. Now, remember, for Richard, probably more so than you youngin, Action Comics #1 was always the one. That was the one. And then for a while, it was Marvel Comics #1 was the one. And now it's Amazing Fantasy 15. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't.
It used to be, Action Comics #1. Action Comic #1 has always been unobtainium. You were never going to run into one of those books at a con unless it was a special occasion. AF-15 was one of those books that was expensive, but it was obtainable. So I think it's developed a real cachet with collectors, and Spider-Man in general is one of the most well-known superheroes on the planet. So I'm not surprised at all that we're seeing the increase in this book. Frankly, I don't think we've seen the end of it, because not only do we have the new Spider-Man movie, we've got a Spider-Man, a Spider-Verse movie coming up later next year. It's going to be an ongoing situation. So I think this was a good buy, as was the $3.6 million one.
Here's how crazy this book is. A 5.0 sold back in November for $33,600. But in June, a 4.5, a half grade lower, sold for $51,111, which is a sniper bid if I've ever seen one before.
Mhm.
511111. So, this is a white pager too, and there's minimal Marvel chipping on this. It's such a beautiful book, and people get these in their collections and they don't let go.
Right.
While there
Unless
is
they upgrade.
while there is accessibility, I want to temper that accessibility with a couple of things. People don't let them go once they get them. And it was the last issue of a failing title. So the print run comparatively was low. So it also is very prone to that Marvel chipping, because this was a part of Marvel's history when they had cheap printing and cheap production, and they didn't replace the blades often
As
enough.
opposed to today, how the high quality of their paper.
That's a whole nother podcast, Richard, if you want to get into the poor quality of Marvel's new books, which they're awful. But at least they replace the razor blades every once in a while when they trim them, so we don't see Marvel chipping. Who knows what will happen in 45 years, though, to these books.
I do want to say, though, inevitably people are going to start talking about scarcity between AF-15 and Action 1, Detective 27. And, those are great books. Don't have to really explain that. People know about that. But I just want to point out, I do hear the scarcity argument. Obviously, 9.6, I think there's only 4 of them anyway. But regardless, I think people really undervalue the demand in supply and demand. Okay.
Mhm.
Like, crazy demand can overcome, a little bit more supply. And especially, as you said, you're dealing with a cultural icon. People get a hold of this book. If they decide to sell it, especially now, they have to basically be coming to peace with the fact that they might not be able to get one again.
Yeah.
So guess what?
Right.
Very likely to hold. So something to keep in mind as we compare those 3 giants.
And generational shift. Spider-Man is the #1 hero for, I would say, 4 generations now. Superman used to be that hero. And, does anybody run across anyone under the age of 50 that goes, I love Superman so much?
It's
Not so much.
identifiability. I mean, everybody can identify with being a teenager, and a teenager that's uncomfortable in their own skin.
Mhm.
And I think that's the attraction of Spider-Man versus Superman or Batman.
Well, if you really want to go down that route, and we can do that on another time when we don't have Ali here to bore him to tears, Superman used to resonate like that because he was an allegory for immigrants. Someone from another place coming in with no support system and making his way, and he was a big time socialist. If you read those early Action Comics, he was beating up union busters and corporate sharks, and it was really interesting. And I don't know if that resonates the way it used to, because now he's got like a son and great. I don't know.
Those concepts, they're very interesting. I actually haven't thought much about them just from my own generation. So those concepts, they're definitely not being conveyed very clearly nowadays. So.
Correct. Yeah. And by the way, Richard, I can hear Evan screaming at us all the way from Cleveland. Our DC guy, Evan, disagreeing. So we may need a counterpoint. All right. One last one. And speaking of identifiable and people identifying with these characters, this is the big one besides Amazing Fantasy.
So this is the big one. It's a big one for us too. This is the biggest single book we've ever sold on our page. Looking forward to breaking that record, but this is it. X-Men #1, CGC 9.0, off-white to white pages. The first appearance of Magneto and some other people. $160,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I think people like this because they're big Iceman fans, and this is the appearance of Iceman. A GPA on this, a 9.0, sold for $95,000 back in March, which may as well have been in 1962 or 1963 when the way things move so fast in this market. X-Men #1, Giant Size X-Men #1, even X-Men 94 now. These are 3 books that just, if you haven't gotten on it, it's probably too late for 95% of us, included. I remember making an offer on an X-Men 94 on an Elite _Comics 11 live sale early in the summer and getting turned down. And I thought, I'll get it later. I'm not going to come up. And now I'm like, why didn't I grab that 8.5 when I had the chance? So yeah, X-Men #1 is another one that is really prone to chipping. So to find this at a 9.0 is wow, really?
Yeah. And you on this book, I mean, I've had the pleasure of seeing a ton of copies. So your eye always wanders to that bottom right corner.
Yep.
And where that that red is there on the bottom right corner. So there's just it's a beautiful 9.0. If you mentioned that one GPA sale, there was a signed Stan Lee that sold for actually over this, about 20K over. But X-Men 1 had slowed down a little bit, I think, overall, and obviously is I'll reference the heritage sales that are happening as we speak, but the book's coming back. So
especially once that trailer drops or that announcement is made when they're coming to the MCU proper. That book and Daredevil #1 have something in common in terms of condition, and it's that upper left-hand corner where the corner box is, where the branding box. That upper left-hand corner is always dinged for some reason, and I don't know if it's something that happened in the shipping of both those books or what. So to find a 9.0 in this is just chef's kiss.
Yeah. Congratulations to the buyer and the seller.
Yeah, congratulations. This, as John said, the opportunities to pick up these books are dwindling because they're going into people's collections and they're staying there because people are waiting for the MCU to announce Wolverine and all the other mutants. And then this book is going to, the sale price today is going to be a shadow of what the price and the value will be at that time.
So if you have not gotten your Sliders #1 yet, I would move on it while you have the chance. Ali, remind everybody where they can find you again.
Yeah, need help on a book, want to see some big books offered up for sale, head over to @Elite _Comics 11 on Instagram. We'll help you out.
Thank you, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you, Lee.
Thank you, Ali, and we're going to move on to something controversial, maybe. All right, we asked you guys, what would you feel about a comic NFT watch? Half of you were for it. Half of you were vehemently against it.
Strangely, same thing with this show. Yeah.
Yep. So guess what? Half of you are going to be really happy right now. And the other half of you, we will see you on Monday. But seriously, folks, stick around. You might learn something, even if you don't want to. It is time for our inaugural edition of the Comic NFT Watch. 2 new drops happened this week on the VV app. What If #1 and Hulk Future Imperfect #1. Richard, what the hell?
I have no idea. The only thing I could think of, there are obvious picks like Giant Size X-Men, Avengers #1. There are books out there that I think are guaranteed sells, and they may be trying to spread those out by including filler books into the schedule. But I think even with that strategy, there are so many other mid-tier books out there that, the First Cable, for example, I think would be a nice mid-tier book if you want to try not to focus on all your major keys. Why these titles?
I get What If, the TV show, the Disney Plus show.
That is topical timing.
I can kind of give What If a little slack. Hulk Future Imperfect #1. I mean, it's a great story, great George Perez art, but if they're tying it in with something or hinting at something, it's the most obscure, subtle hint ever because I do not get it. Why not Hulk #1? Why not
even Immortal Hulk #1?
or even Immortal Hulk #1, or even Incredible Hulk 181, either Incredible Hulk 340. Could you imagine that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I do not understand the title selection. It's such a snooze of a pick. Bring on the keys already. I'm really excited for them to launch Slingers #1 next week. I don't know. Darkhawk, maybe? Who knows? Even Darkhawk would make more sense because that's kind of a meme.
I wonder if it's some licensing thing that they're required to do, or
I
it's
can't
just
imagine.
just can't imagine this is going to be a very popular. But the other titles sold out almost immediately.
Oh, these I will say both of them sold out within a minute.
But they had a smaller. They only had what 35,000.
35K for each one, which was interesting. So they kind of hedged their bets a little bit that these may not be as popular. I did go for one of the what ifs. I spent $6.99 gems on one what if, and I actually got an ultra rare. So
Great.
they know how to bait that worm on that hook for me. They were like, "We got him." He was about to leave.
Yeah, I passed on this. I've decided that the only books that I'm even remotely going to be interested in are keys that I value. So Ultima Fallout if it comes up, Hulk 181, things like that. If they show up, yeah, I'll pop my head up. But if they do like New Mutants 8 or some other random title just because they have the license for the characters, I'll pass.
Now, what I'm debating is the what if ultra rare is going for about 179 gems in the marketplace right now. I'm thinking about actually selling it and just keeping those gems in my account. And then when things that Captain America related or Jack Kirby related that I want, I'm just using that to buy several of those because, there have been some snoozers. House of X, who cares? The Future Imperfect one I really did not get. So otherwise, we're seeing some movement on some of the commons finally, which is interesting. They've kind of languished going for less than what they were selling for originally in the marketplace. But some of them are finally going over the purchase price of $6.99. Marvel Comics #1 common is currently at $15. Amazing Spider-Man #1 common is kind of fluctuating. It was as high as $11 earlier this week, but as of this recording on Friday, it's $7 now, and the rest are anywhere from $4 to $6 for the commons.
Yeah, I don't feel we have enough sales data to really have the prices be fixed.
Yeah.
I think we're a few months away before that happens.
I do know, because I've been watching, the ultra rares are really interesting. The day of the drop, if you put an ultra rare up at an elevated price, $200, it'll sell. Now, then you see it drop during the week, and now copies are available for under 200. So it's weird depending on what the title is. Now, how about actual cash, jing jing, money sales on eBay? The New Mutants 98 Secret Rare sold this week for $2,100 on eBay. The Fantastic Four #1 Super Secret Rare sold for $1,000 on eBay. That's cash. So they are selling for cash.
Yeah.
I have to wonder, when a cash out option on the app becomes available, what's going to happen to prices?
Yes, I assume they're going to drop like a stone, to be honest with you.
I feel that way too. I think this is funny money. It's monopoly money. You don't really think of it as cash when you're within the app. It's gamified and it's kind of fun. But then when it starts becoming, real dollars and cents, I think we're going to see something happen.
Right. When it's a choice between, buying that Starbucks or buying that common, it may be a little bit more difficult of a choice.
Well, we'll also see what happens to the early ones. I think people that got in early will benefit. I think some more iconic titles come. I can't imagine if they do Amazing Fantasy 15, are they going to limit it to 60,000? Are they going to try to go up to 100K for the run? Who knows? But we will keep you posted on this. I don't know if we're going to do this weekly, but we'll at least do it once a month and keep you guys in the loop. You let us know. All right, everybody that hated NFTs, come on back. We're back now. We're done. I just want to say thanks for watching today. We will see you Monday. Make sure you follow us at Bronze and Modern Gods on Facebook and Instagram, and follow us on our website at bronzeandmoderngods.com. I don't know if you can follow it. Just go visit it. Like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Richard, any last thoughts?
No. Everybody stay safe.
That's gonna do it for us.
See you next time, everybody.